What's good, y'all? I'm back with another video. Today, I'm gonna be reacting to Socrates and why he hated democracy, right? We're gonna get into it, man. It's the philosophy of Socrates. I'm really big on philosophy. I love philosophy back in the day. Still do, not back in the day. Still do. Philosophy definitely drives a lot of my motives. And Socrates was definitely a good he was definitely somebody good you could learn from. Definitely somebody that I think he influenced. Did he influence Marcus Aurelius? Marcus Aurelius? Y'all tell me in the comment section. I think he influenced Stoicism. He was the beginning of it. I know that much, but definitely Socrates is definitely a good person to learn about. He got some great books out there, but let's see why he didn't like democracy. I'm curious to know that. So y'all subscribe. You know, and remember, if you like me, you subscribe. If you don't, you ain't got to subscribe. But I want you to subscribe. I want you to stay here. I want you to be part of the family. You know what I'm saying? We the King Knights. I'm going to call y'all the King Knights. I don't know. I'm going to come up with something. I'm going to come up with something on that end, but yeah. All right, let's hop right into the video, man. I ain't going to do too much more talking. Ready? Let's go.
We're used to thinking very highly of democracy, and by extension, of ancient Athens, the civilization that gave rise to it. The Parthenon has become almost a byword for democratic values, which is why so many leaders of democracies like to be photographed there. It's therefore very striking to discover that one of ancient Greece's greatest achievements, philosophy, was highly suspicious of its other achievement, democracy. The founding father of Greek philosophy, Socrates, is portrayed in the dialogues of Plato as hugely pessimistic about the whole business of democracy. In Book 6 of the Republic, Plato describes Socrates falling into conversation with a character called Adimantus and trying to get him to see the flaws of democracy by comparing a society to a ship. If you were heading out on a journey by sea, asks Socrates, who would you ideally want deciding who was in charge of the vessel? Just anyone, or people educated in the rules and demands of seafaring? The latter, of course, says Adimantus. So why then, responds Socrates, do we keep thinking that any old person should be fit to judge who should be the ruler of a country?
And that's already an interesting take. So Socrates didn't think that everybody should have a say-so on everything that goes on, and that the people that know the most about the country should have the say-so on what goes on, and that would be a really good democracy. Oh man, I wonder what he would have thought of I don't know what he thought of socialism and communism. I wonder what he would have thought of that. I do wonder. But yeah, man, that's an interesting take. I didn't know he critiqued it like that. It's interesting. So he didn't like democracy for that reason. Interesting. Let's keep going.
Socrates' point is that voting in an election is a skill, not a random intuition. And like any skill, it needs to be taught systematically to people. Letting the citizenry vote without an education is as irresponsible as putting them in charge of a trireme sailing to Samos in a storm.
That's facts. That's facts. When you got a population of people who don't know anything and they vote, that's how you get Trump. I'm just playing. I'm just playing. But when you get a population of people that are uninformed on information, it's extremely hard for them to elect officials that are actually worth electing, and it's hard for officials to actually hone in on specific things that they're supposed to hone in on, because people just want to be told what they want to hear, and because they understand people just want to be told what they want to hear, not necessarily what's actually going to be beneficial to everybody in the society. So yeah, man, that's a good point. That's a really good point. But I wonder, as the video goes on, what would have been a solution outside of democracy? Because all the democracies are some of the freest systems of government in the world. Most of the other ones seem to be a lot more controlled. The people don't have as much of a freedom, but let's keep going.
Socrates was to have first-hand catastrophic experience of the foolishness of voters. In 399 BC, the philosopher was put on trial on trumped-up charges of corrupting the youth of Athens. A jury of 500 Athenians was invited to weigh up the case and decided by a narrow margin that the philosopher was guilty. He was put to death by hemlock in a process which is, for thinking people, every bit as tragic as Jesus' condemnation has been for Christians.
Wow, you know, dang, man. So he was put to death for his thoughts. Not even because he did anything truly wrong. He was put to death for his thoughts. You know, if you want to think, man, I'm just being real. This is the best time to be alive. Like in some countries, not all, but in some countries, you can actually say what you want to say. You can express things that you want to express. Back in them times, man, you could not say what you wanted to say. He was put to death for his thoughts. Yeah. I actually never looked into why, like his death. That's, you know, it sounds crazy. As much as I've dived into philosophy, I never looked into why Socrates, not why he was executed, but like the reason he was executed. No, yeah, why he was executed. I never looked into the reason. Wow, it's because he had thoughts, but I know he was. I just like to read the people who were inspired. I don't really know his writings specifically. I just know people were inspired by his writings. Like Plato, I know was inspired by his not his writings, but his talks. So, interesting enough. Let's keep on.
Crucially, Socrates was not elitist in the normal sense. He didn't believe that a narrow few should only ever vote.
Okay.
He did, however, insist that only those who had thought about issues rationally and deeply should be let near a vote. We have forgotten this distinction between an intellectual democracy and a democracy by birthright. We have given the vote to all without connecting it to wisdom. And Socrates knew exactly where that would lead, to a system the Greeks feared above all, demagoguery. Ancient Athens had painful experience of demagogues.
And think about it. Like if you think about America in a sense, and a lot of democracies around the world, if you really think about it, we do somewhat live in demagoguery. We do. We genuinely do. Like, whew, okay, this is touching deep. Like this is touching deep. Let's go.
For example, the louche figure of Alcibiades, a rich, charismatic, smooth-talking, wealthy man who eroded basic freedoms and helped to push Athens to its disastrous military adventures in Sicily. Socrates knew how easily people seeking election could exploit our desire for easy answers. He asked us to imagine an election debate between two candidates, one who was like a doctor and the other who was like a sweet shop owner. The sweet shop owner would say of his rival, "Look, this person here has worked many evils on you. He hurts you, gives you bitter potions, and tells you not to eat and drink whatever you like. He'll never serve you feasts of many and varied pleasant things like I will." Socrates asks us to consider the audience's response. Do you think the doctor would be able to reply effectively? The true answer, "I cause you trouble and go against your desires in order to help you," would cause an uproar among the voters, don't you think? We have forgotten all about Socrates' salient warnings against democracy. We have preferred to think of democracy as an unambiguous good, rather than as something that is only ever as effective as the education system that surrounds it.
I'm gonna let this finish off, but yes, like if people are not educated, how can they vote properly? This is good. This is really good.
As a result, we have elected many sweet shop owners and very few doctors.
Okay, that's it. Okay, man. Wow. That was gems. That was gems. Okay. So I just got done doing this video basically on intellectuals, where I was talking about the specific problem, like in the world, right? Is that we actually are almost wired as humans to not trust intellectuals in a way, and this ties into this, like so. Socrates believed that we should always have people who know what they're talking about, who can make the vote, plus have people who know what they're talking about, who are in power, in order to make things effectively change the way they need to change. And it's interesting because, yeah, exactly. We've led to people selling you candy and cookies and things like that, but not necessarily being doctors to you. Like, look, this is what we need to get done, right? And I was talking about how I even think I have an answer for that. The reason why it's like that is because most people don't want the truth. Most people don't want to be told it's going to be a while before we build things back. This is going to be a hard road ahead, but we got to do this and this and this and this. Most people want to be coded in the comfort. You know what I mean? And because they want to be coded in the comfort, it's hard to get to that point of being like, okay, boom, getting the leader going like, this is how we're going to do things and this is why we're going to do things. You have to be able to tell people what they want to hear. And intellectuals accidentally challenge people's egos and the status quo of society. So if you put somebody in power that's consistently challenging the status quo because it knows that things are going to be more complicated later, then that person knows it's going to become more complicated later, then you lead to chaos. People don't want that, right? So Socrates, he's right. He has a point. I think it's deeper in our human nature. Since the dawn of time, we formed in groups. We all wanted to be in groups, and because we wanted to be in groups, we wanted to fit in. We didn't want to be different. And the person who's gonna be different and make those changes for the group, 9 times out of 10 is gonna be ostracized. And I think that's where it also comes from too. I agree with Socrates on like the fact that I don't know if I agree, but the idea of everybody shouldn't vote, but maybe everybody should be more educated to do the vote. Yeah, whatever. I'm gonna end it right there, y'all. Subscribe, y'all know what to do.